In the dark forests of Nova Scotia, two children vanish without a trace. No screams, no footprints, just silence. Then the community rose, fathers, mothers, neighbors, strangers. With boots sinking into mud and prayers whispered between trees, they searched every creek and clearing, refusing to let Lily and Jack's names fade. But as the days turned to weeks, the forest held its secrets tight. Was this just a tragic disappearance, or something darker, hiding in the shadows of these woods? Tonight we walk beside them, through every lead, every rumor, every desperate hope, as a town fights to bring two missing children home, no matter what it takes. Before we dive into this, if you believe in fighting for justice, this is your moment to stand with us. We've just crossed 1,000 subscribers because of your incredible support, and now we're aiming for 2,000, then 5,000, and yes, 10,000. So go ahead, leave your digital fingerprint on that subscribe button, because wherever you are when this vision becomes reality, I'll send my gratitude straight to you. Let's keep building this justice-driven community together. May 2nd, 2025. Pictou County, Nova Scotia. When the sun rose, Lily and Jack Sullivan were gone. No signs of a break-in, no footprints in the dew. Their snacks still on the table, their small shoes by the door. Word spread quickly, faster than the official RCMP notice. Neighbors texted each other. Families grabbed flashlights, ATVs, and hiking boots, refusing to stand by while two children vanished into the mist. By noon, the search party was more than just officers and K-9 units. It was fathers carrying water bottles, mothers scanning ditches, teenagers live streaming on TikTok, hoping someone, somewhere, would see something. They combed the tree lines, the river banks, the abandoned sheds that dot rural Nova Scotia. They searched under fallen logs and in thick brambles, shouting, "Lily, Jack," until their voices cracked. The woods that once felt safe suddenly felt different. Every snapped twig became a question. Every rustle in the leaves, a hope that turned into disappointment. Helicopters droned overhead. Drones buzzed, scanning for heat signatures. But on the ground, it was the people who knew the children best, refusing to stop, even as daylight drained away and the cold air settled in. As dusk settled on Pictou County, the search took on a different tone. What began as hope-filled shouts turned into quieter calls, careful steps, and silent prayers. People lined up, shoulder to shoulder, forming human chains through the brush. Some carried sticks to poke through tall grass. Others brought their dogs, hoping for a bark or a sign. Flashlights danced like fireflies against the darkening tree line, illuminating twisted roots and muddy trails. A local volunteer, her hands shaking, found a small sock near the creek. She held it up, tears streaming down her face, but it wasn't Lily's or Jack's, just another false hope. Others found toys, wrappers, small things that made hearts drop, each item examined, bagged, noted by police, then handed back with the same words, "Not connected." People refused to leave. They made coffee at the community hall. They took shifts, going back into the forest in groups of 5 or 6, refusing to accept that the darkness could swallow children forever. Parents hugged their kids tighter that night. Teenagers posted updates in community Facebook groups, asking for batteries, food, and more volunteers. Strangers drove in from nearby towns with bottled water and sandwiches for tired searchers who would not go home. But as midnight approached, the air felt heavier. Questions began to rise in whispers. How could two children disappear without a trace? Why didn't the dogs catch a scent? Who was the last to see them? And as they gathered around the parked trucks and police tape under the cold moon, the community realized they were searching for more than Lily and Jack. They were searching for answers to a nightmare that had become real. As dawn broke over Pictou County, a thin mist clung to the fields where volunteers had combed every inch just hours before. The coffee had gone cold, faces looked drained, boots caked with mud, but no one was ready to leave. Rumors began to swirl like the morning fog. Some whispered that the kids had been taken, snatched quietly in the night, and that the parents knew more than they were saying. Others said they heard Lily's giggle in the woods, a sound carried by the wind, sending chills down the spines of even the toughest searchers. There were stories of a white truck seen near the Sullivan home that morning, parked for too long with its engine running. No one could confirm who was inside. Some searchers started to wonder if the forest was hiding something darker. If someone out there, watching from the trees, knew exactly where Lily and Jack were, and why no trace could be found. The police kept their statements careful and measured, but frustration brewed under the surface. Search dogs were brought back in, their noses to the ground, handlers calling commands with voices that cracked from exhaustion. But still, nothing. Community Facebook pages turned into rumor mills, screenshots of alleged sightings, theories about trafficking rings, and accusations against family members spread like wildfire, each post getting hundreds of comments from neighbors, friends, and strangers desperate for answers. Everyone had an opinion, but no one had proof. And in the middle of it all, the forest remained silent. No footprints, no torn fabric, no sounds in the night. Just the wind in the pines, the creaking of branches, and the echo of Lily and Jack's names, as people continued to call them out, hoping, praying for any sign that would break the silence. As dawn broke over Pictou County, a thin mist clung to the fields where volunteers had combed every inch just hours before. The coffee had gone cold, faces looked drained, boots caked with mud, but no one was ready to leave. Rumors began to swirl like the morning fog. Some whispered that the kids had been taken, snatched quietly in the night, and that the parents knew more than they were saying. Others said they heard Lily's giggle in the woods, a sound carried by the wind, sending chills down the spines of even the toughest searchers. There were stories of a white truck seen near the Sullivan home that morning, parked for too long with its engine running. No one could confirm who was inside. Some searchers started to wonder if the forest was hiding something darker. If someone out there, watching from the trees, knew exactly where Lily and Jack were, and why no trace could be found. The police kept their statements careful and measured, but frustration brewed under the surface. Search dogs were brought back in, their noses to the ground, handlers calling commands with voices that cracked from exhaustion. But still, nothing. Community Facebook pages turned into rumor mills. Screenshots of alleged sightings, theories about trafficking rings, and accusations against family members spread like wildfire, each post getting hundreds of comments from neighbors, friends, and strangers desperate for answers. Everyone had an opinion, but no one had proof. And in the middle of it all, the forest remained silent. No footprints, no torn fabric, no sounds in the night. Just the wind in the pines, the creaking of branches, and the echo of Lily and Jack's names, as people continued to call them out, hoping, praying for any sign that would break the silence. Then, just when the community's hope was beginning to crack, the internet ignited like wildfire. A TikTok video, filmed by a local hiker, shaking hands, ragged breath, claiming he had found something in the woods. Footprints, scraps of fabric, maybe even something worse. It was vague, blurry, and terrifying. Within hours, it had millions of views. Comments exploded. Are these the missing Sullivan kids? Why isn't the RCMP out there now? Why is nobody talking about this? Local reporters descended on Pictou County, sticking microphones into tear-streaked faces, asking if the family had any updates, if they felt the police were doing enough, if they thought the kids were still alive. News vans lined up near the Sullivan property, cameras pointing at the tree line, capturing every volunteer walking in and out of the forest, every dog handler, every exhausted parent, dragging their feet home after another day of searching. And online, true crime channels latched onto the story, building timelines, analyzing inconsistencies, and speculating about possible suspects, while families in the community watched themselves being dissected by strangers, their grief becoming content for the world to debate. For the searchers, the pressure was suffocating. People who had never met Lily and Jack were now demanding updates, criticizing the search strategy, accusing the police of hiding something. Volunteers felt the weight of the world watching them, as they pushed deeper into muddy trails, climbed over fallen logs, and searched abandoned barns, terrified of what they might find, or what they might not. Because with each day that passed, the reality became harder to swallow. The forest felt endless, the silence unbearable, and every rustle in the brush felt like it might be the moment they would find the answer, or the moment they would break. Because behind every tree, beneath every rock, was the unspoken fear that the kids were never meant to be found. And that someone, somewhere, was watching it all unfold, satisfied with the chaos they left behind. And as days turned into weeks, the unity that once held the community together began to crack. Neighbors started side-eyeing each other at the gas station, wondering who might know more than they were saying. Whispers echoed in church hallways. Did you hear what Malia said in that interview? Daniel's story changed again, didn't it? Why did the family wait so long to call the police? Search volunteers who had once been united in prayer circles before heading into the woods now found themselves arguing over what to prioritize: riverbeds, abandoned barns, or hidden sinkholes. Parents with children the same age as Lily and Jack stopped letting them play outside, pulling them close, locking doors that once stayed open. The tension was thick enough to choke on. Some believed it was all an accident. Kids who wandered too far, lost in the dense forests, taken by nature's cruelty. Others believed something darker had happened, pointing to rumors of black eyes, arguments in the home, CPS visits, and hushed family conflicts. And for every day that Lily and Jack were not found, the community's faith in the system eroded. People began showing up at town meetings, demanding updates, grilling local officers who could only say the investigation is ongoing. We are following leads, we're doing everything we can. But it wasn't enough, because in a town where everyone knows everyone, people felt they were being lied to. They felt that somewhere, someone knew exactly where Lily and Jack were, and they were staying silent. The fear turned into anger, and the anger turned into resolve. They decided to do what the official search teams had scaled back. One final, desperate, all-out search. Hundreds gathered, parents, retirers, hunters, dog handlers, and teenagers who had grown up alongside Lily and Jack. They met at dawn, boots crunching on gravel, faces pale in the cold morning air, organizing into search lines, GPS tracking their grids, determined to search every inch of the forest and every abandoned structure left in the dark corners of Pictou County. Because they needed closure. Because they needed the truth. And because they refused to let these children be forgotten. They searched through rain, mud, and dense thickets that ripped skin and snagged clothing. They crawled through drainage tunnels, with flashlights clenched in shaking hands, calling out Lily, Jack, hoping, praying, that somehow they would hear a small voice call back. They opened old wells, checked abandoned hunting shacks, followed animal trails, through waist-high ferns, pushing forward because giving up wasn't an option. As hours passed, every snapped twig felt like a heartbeat. Every rustle of leaves like a whisper from the missing children. Some brought their own children along, a reminder of who they were fighting for, a promise that no child should simply vanish. Dogs barked at empty spaces. Drones hummed above, mapping out search grids as volunteers marked areas with neon tape. And then silence, the kind of silence that crushes you. Because despite every effort, every prayer, every step, there was nothing. No toys, no shoes, no scraps of clothing. Just a thick, haunting emptiness that followed them back to their cars as the sun set and another day ended with no answers. And as they packed up to leave, a volunteer, tears streaking through the dirt on her face, said what everyone was thinking: if someone knows something, and they're staying quiet, I hope they can live with themselves. Because the truth was clear, these children did not just disappear. Someone knows, someone is hiding something. And until the truth comes out, the forests of Nova Scotia will never feel the same. The trails will echo with what-ifs. And Lily and Jack's faces will remain burned into the hearts of everyone who walked those woods, refusing to let the silence be the final word. So here we are, another day gone, no answers, no closure, just a community left clutching questions that refuse to be buried. Because someone out there knows what happened to Lily and Jack Sullivan. And the longer they stay silent, the more that silence becomes complicity. These children deserve more than whispers and rumors in the dark. They deserve the truth. They deserve justice. And it's up to all of us to keep their story alive until the day that truth finally comes. Because the moment we stop talking about Lily and Jack, the moment we stop searching, questioning, demanding, that's the moment we let the silence win. And I won't let that happen, will you? If you believe in fighting for justice for Lily and Jack, hit that subscribe button. Join a community that refuses to let missing children become forgotten hashtags. Drop your thoughts, your theories, your frustrations in the comments below, because you might see something others missed. Share this video so Lily and Jack's faces stay out there, because you never know who might know something. And as we wait for the day we finally get answers, stay curious, stay vigilant, and don't forget their names. Lily Sullivan, Jack Sullivan. They deserve to come home, one way or another, and we won't stop until they do.